live in Los Alamos.
Right. Oh, okay.
Wow.
Just right for them.
Yes.
So you don't have far to drive home then?
No, well, I do live in Melbourne, so
Oh,
I'm
okay.
about a half hour.
Oh, cool. Okay, cool.
What was that?
8.
Cool.
Well, you're gonna, Avery, do your song and
You can
dance.
say your name and your affiliate.
Am I ready? We ready to go? Okay. Arin McKenna with the Los Alamos Marketing. So, one of the things I've been most interested in, because for Los Alamos, they're going to be interested in the historical aspect, even though it's a historical fiction. Do you have a sense of your characters in that place in the actual history?
Very much so. One of the biggest source materials, I think, for Sam's script, because I have his copy of the book and it's marked up with underlinings, is it Eleanor Jett's memories? She wrote that. She wrote of her time as a wife of a scientist in Los Alamos. So yeah, I feel profoundly rooted. I went up there. I love the Historical Society building in the guest house. I think it's the most fabulously eccentric museum. I've taken my children there and my sister there and my husband there. So I think I know every item of it. I love the crazy school that was thrown out. I find it devastating to see the pictures of the bulldozers bulldozing the native farmlands, and it's extraordinary that what started off, with respect to Los Alamos as a crazy plan, if the bomb had failed, it would have been dismissed as a crazy plan, but because it worked, it's the foremost nuclear facility on Earth, probably.
I think I think it's a huge, imaginative, wonderful leap of faith the writers have taken to not write a historical reality series about Oppenheimer and the characters, but created a fictional set of characters with the historical icons on the periphery, basically, but to maybe sort of help illuminate what was emotionally true about that time and place. None of it's not true. Not all of it is based on known fact, but they tried to capture, because it was this extraordinary petri dish of social activity between these brilliant people who were put basically on Mars, which is what it felt like to them at the time. They were taken to the middle of nowhere, Eastern Europeans, Americans, brilliant minds. And, for people who had spent a lot of their time writing, toiling in academia, thriving in academia, writing great, they were then called to arms to do the thing that nature, God had put them on the earth to do it for such an extraordinary cause. What a heightened reality for these people, and that makes for great soap opera. That just makes for great, and so I think the writers have taken an extraordinary thing, to not do historical accuracy, but emotional accuracy.
And they've been able to take anecdotes that are, in the Bradbury Museum, there are all those anecdotes and testimonies, and they've taken anecdotes from all those and melded them into different characters. Crazy stories of being contaminated and having to go home and take all your clothes off and say goodbye to your family until you're decontaminated. And with this format, you can take all those anecdotes and mix them all together. And Sam Shaw has done the most amazing job in giving these anecdotes new flesh and blood.
Oh, yeah.
Give her another one.
So I'm especially curious with your character, because there were those competing teams.
Yeah.
And so what type of research you've done and how that fits in with the fact that those actually were historical.
Yeah, that there was a
historical competition.
That there was a ruthlessness. I don't think anything has really changed as far as, this was the business of building the bomb. And you weren't being paid, you weren't being rewarded, you weren't achieving your end by being best buddies with everybody. Frank, my character, is incredibly impolitic and has horrible social people skills, but he's myopic and single-minded in his passion, and I think she knows that about him, and he also knows what he's asked her to sacrifice, so it makes for this personal, imbalance in the relationship that is incredibly dynamic. But I think he, as far as the other guys go, you know, it's by any means necessary, and it's every man for himself. And his, you know, as much as he's about ending the war, and of course an altruistic and saving lives way, his ego is very much involved too. He wants to win. He wants to prove that all those guys who are saying he's ragtag and his team is the loser team and the bad news bears, just wait, just you watch. I mean, ego drives everything, you know, and I think it was true for him too. It was as selfish as it was unselfish.
Thank you.
And the other social aspect that I find fascinating is it's all these civilians brought and put under military rule. It was a military camp, so you had intellectuals and free thinkers who were later, as we know, accused of being communists and lefties, who were subject to military law. And none of them were used to it. You know, if they didn't like something, you went to the university and complained about it. And here it's like you follow the rule, and if you break the rule, we all know what happened to Sid Lau.
Yeah, yeah. Do we know? Yes, we do.
Yes, I think we do.
Sorry,
Very
you
much.
followed. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming.
Nice to meet you.